Well, well. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Hi. It's very nice to see you again. My name is John Pulido. I'm the moderator for this 10th masterclass, I guess, from this year 2022. Welcome, everyone. It's always a pleasure to have you here joining us. This strategy wouldn't be the same without you there, teachers, connecting every single Thursday with us, building up this strategy brought to you by the Ministry of Education as part of the international agreement and cooperation between the British Council and the Ministry of Education. Today, as you can tell, this session will be held in English language. And we're going to be exploring the following topic: how to support my students' life projects through English language learning. This masterclass, as always, will be enriched by the participation of our guest teachers and our expert. You know the dynamics of this masterclass. We say hello from the different regions in Colombia to you teachers there. Please, you're connecting to YouTube through Colombia Aprende YouTube channel. Please let us know where you're from. Let us know your institution, your school, your thoughts. What do you want to learn with us today? How do you want to also participate with us? Your voice and everybody's voice out there is key and crucial to build the knowledge and learn together through this master. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And please, very important recommendation: participate. Your participation is key to this masterclass. Well, we'll be reading you here all your comments on the platform, and I guess we're ready. We're ready because, as I was telling you, this strategy becomes valid and solid and valuable because of our guests. So let me give you 1 second and we'll introduce our guest teachers. Three guest teachers from different parts of our country. And the first, we have Karen Flores, Institución Educativa Municipal de Cundinamarca, in Zipaquirá. Karen, hello, say hi to our teachers and tell us something about yourself.
Yes, of course. Hello, John, and all the teachers who are connected here in this boot camp. It has been a great experience, and the idea is that we have to learn many different tips that will help us. So I will try to talk, or I will try to tell you some things about me. I'm an English teacher from Zipaquirá, and I've been working in Cundinamarca School here in Zipaquirá with 7th and 9th grade. This is a urban school here. It's an amazing school in the city. I have been working here for during 4 years. Also, I have been part of different programs by the Ministry of Education and also with the British Council, such as the Inspiring Teachers, Innovation Clubs, and now I'm part of the Innovation Clubs Senior. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.
Well, Karen, I mean, you've been in the whole strategy, as I can tell, and that's great.
Yes, I
Uh,
love them.
okay, yeah, fantastic. So, welcome, welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we have another teacher, but we move to Manizales. Olga Patricia Osorio from Escuela Normal Superior de Caldas. Olga, hello.
Hello, everybody.
How
My
are
name is Olga
you?
Patricia. Hi, fine, everything is good.
Well, we're very happy to have you here, Olga. And I would like you to say hi to our teachers who are connected right now through the Colombia Aprende YouTube channel. And please tell us something about yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here because I know that this process is very important to my country. I am Olga Patricia Osorio Ramirez. I am teaching now in a normal school in Manizales. And I have to tell you that it's a real pleasure to be a language teacher. I am teaching now English didactics, especially for the new teachers in a normal school,
Okay.
only French and Spanish. For me, bilingualism is one of the most important things for my students because I'm going to give them keys for living, for surviving. In our school, we have had different experiences, like teaching English with a magic touch called it arts number 1 and 2, and we have received a lot of prizes from the Ministry of Education. We have worked a lot with the bilingualism and with the British Council and the different process with the native speakers. We were taping with them, studying with them, learning a lot. And then we were participating in school to school, and we were studying and we were learning with a nice institution.
Amazing.
Now we were practicing CLIL, Content Language Integrated
Integrated
Learning,
learning.
that it was one of the most important learning we can
Great.
make with this experience.
Olga, thank you very much. I mean, you got all the knowledge, all the baggage, all the experience, and we love that. I know that you will enrich the conversation today. And with you, along with Karen and Olga, we have Breiner Salet Torres from Barranquilla Atlántico, Mundo Bolivariano, Institución Educativa. Breiner, what's up? How are you?
Well, hi everyone. I'm very, very happy to be with you today on this strategy that is really, really important that us teacher can connect and have this sense of a academic community and think and reflect about different strategies that we can learn. Basically, I'm telling you about my contest. It's a big school with some socioeconomic problems. I mean, the families that we have, but our students are very, very motivated to learn English, and we are very, very close to Ministry of Education and British Council in any strategy that they come up with. We are there, we are implementing, and we are very, very happy to be part of this process of bilingualism in Colombia.
Great, amazing. Well, Brainer, it's very, very nice to have you here, man.
It's really, really nice to be here.
Okay, yeah, great, great. Well, to all the teachers who are watching us live right now through the Colombia Aprende YouTube channel, we want to say hi to you. There are some teachers there: Fernando Soler, Elena Peña, Marisol Vallejo from Institución Educativa Las Lajas, Onyx Castellar from San Bernardo del Viento, Juan Sebastián Rubiano from Villavicencio Meta, and all of you teachers, please, we want your participation. We want you to be actively participating in this. But as you know, we always have an expert. And today's expert is here with us, James Forero. Uh, uh, when I was saying hi to James some minutes ago, and I was very happy to see that was the same James Forero I met many years ago, back in the days when we were young and wild and free. James, teacher, passionate teacher, educator, more than 15 years. That means we're still young and kicking. Researcher, and his interests range from self improvement and go through cycling, movies, and cats. We share some of them. James, say hi to our teachers and welcome to this masterclass.
Hello, John. Hello, teachers. I would like to thank our guests today, and I would like to thank every single teacher connected in the broadcast. I am really glad to be here. I am here to tell you that dreams do come true. When I started seeing this series of master classes, and I would see these big names like great coworkers, great professionals, I said I want to be there one day, and here I am. All right. So, okay. To make a long story short, I am a child of public education, and I'll tell you why. I remember taking my first grades of primary in a rural school in El Totumo, Tolima, and then going to a public school in Cartagena and INEM, INEM Jose Man, no, Jose Manuel Rodriguez Torices in Cartagena,
Yes.
and then in M. Francisco de Paula Santander here in Bogota, and then the glorious Pedagogica University, and then some more. But I'm a child of public education, proud of it.
Okay, me too. Proud of it, man. Universidad Distrital, and also in high school, public education. Great. James, you got something for us, right?
Absolutely. All
Let's
right.
open up this masterclass with this video.
I never thought learning English would take me that far. Is this something you'd like to hear from one of your students or your former students perhaps? If the answer is yes, join me in this exciting journey of coaching and mentoring. My name is James Forero and I have been a language teacher and a teacher's educator for the last 15 years. Today, I will share with you 3 life projects to help your students take the challenge of creating their life plans. First, in me, a person to look up to, students will learn great strategies to strengthen their self-worth and also identify their character traits. In our second strategy, My Lifeline Binder, your students will dare to dream, yet they will learn to plan. Finally, in our third strategy, Reaching Out My Community, your students will solve local issues cooperatively. You don't want to miss today's webinar, How to Support My Students' Life Projects Throughout English Language Learning. I'll see you later.
And later, here we are. Okay.
Okay, I would like to start by going very, very practical. And what you see on screen is a diagram that I use with my students to start understanding yourself and to start seeing where you are and how you feel in different aspects of life. This is what I like to call the wheel of life. This is how I baptized it. First of all, I would ask my student, you can use some material like printed material, which for sure you will get as part of the takeaway material today, but this is something you can do with little or no material. What I tell my students is take paper and pen, draw an asterisk, and in each of the arm of the asterisk, write these words, and each word represents an aspect in your life. For example, physical activity, health, family, money, and so forth. All the ones that you can see on screen. Once they have done this, I tell them, all right, now I would like you to see how you feel, how good you feel at each of these, let's say, aspects. Or for example, health. If I do my exercise here, I would give health an 8 because I feel healthy these days. For family, I would think of an 8. So my students would probably draw a little circle or color dot in each of the arms, depending on how good they feel about each of these items. And then being 0, like I am really bad, and 10, I am doing great. So let me show you what my wheel of life looks at this moment. This is more or less what it looks like. Perhaps yours is a little bit different, a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, but this is what we got. If I do the exercise, my wheel of life looks like this. So let's listen a little bit to our guest teachers. So Teacher Karen, what about your wheel of life? Will it look like this or similar?
Yes, similar. I was trying to do that, and I got two best answers, or the two tops. They were love and family, and all the diagram that I got from them was crazy. It was smaller than yours, but I got it. Why I think that love and family are, they are like the most important things that we have to take into account in our life. They are like the engine that we have to use, that you have to take into account to continue with our projects. So for that reason, it was my answer about it.
That's right. And the beautiful part of this, thank you, Teacher Karen. The great part of this is like how students start, let's say, reacting, let's say, upon whatever they have. And they would probably say, like, yes, teacher, I need to get better at this, or I didn't know my life in these terms, in terms of health, or I need to take care of these. And then it's really beautiful how students start being aware. And this is what I'm bringing for you here today, teachers. Like, practical tools to visualize processes, to enhance the level of English, and to provoke communication and interaction. Because what you will be getting in the takeaway material is not only the wheel of life, but also some prompts for interaction once these students have done it. So I hope you like the wheel of life. Tell us what you think in the chat box. Okay, and let's move on to the next one. Today, we're talking about a life plan. So basically, a life plan is a roadmap for your life. It's something that helps you, let's say, prioritize what is important to you, that helps you make decisions based on your priorities and move towards the life you want. A life plan would also like consider, or let's say take into account your not only your strong areas, the advantages, but perhaps the limitations and things like that. So I am pretty sure, teachers, you are somehow familiar with a life plan. And in preparation for this conversation, I talked to a lot of teachers from Neiva, Sumapaz, Cartagena, even Bogota, and they were telling me, yes, this is something we do at school. So I am positive that what I'm telling you today, many of you will say, yes, that's kind of like what I do in my lessons. This is what we do in my school. So I'm not bringing you like anything new. I'm bringing you, or I'm proposing a way to do the same things you have been doing in a more systematic, organized, and purposeful way. But I would like you to tell us a little bit, teachers, how you feel about life plans. If we go to the next one, we'll see. I want you to self-assess how you feel about life plans or doing life plans in schools. You will click on one, well, click on not. You will say one in the chat box if you feel like you know this concept and you do it always. Like it's like you get a master's in life plans. Now, if we click on two, or if you go for number two, tell us in the chat box why you are a two. Probably you say I'm familiar with the concept, but probably you still feel that there's something else you want to learn about this. Then, if you go for at number three, you say like, well, honestly, James, I don't know much about this, but I want to learn. And that would be a lovely attitude as well. And finally, a number four, probably, why not? Maybe you feel like you don't think this could be done or this should be done in English class, that it's not the space to develop a life plan. Tell us why. Okay, so please go to the chat box and tell us who you are. I mean, like, well, I'm a number two because such and such. And in the meantime, I would like to ask Professor Olga which one she feels more, which statement describes her better.
Okay, I want to tell you about my experience around this. In my classes, I have made with my students a project. It is called the Careers Project. We began this experience thinking about what are dreams. We are going to define dreams. Then they have to draw something that express their dreams. After this, they are going to make things according to their dreams, and they are going to think on a career that can accomplish these dreams. Then they have to go to the universities. They make specific research, and they are going to make presentations for the rest of the class, trying to convince them, okay, it's the best career we can find in our lives. It is this and this and this. We can find these different disciplines. We are going to find this career in these different universities. The course is this and this. Everything about the career. It's a very nice project. I am making
Wow.
this with my students in 11 course, and they are very interested in this because they are deciding. Since this moment, they were not thinking about future. We have to think on future. What are we
That's
going to
right.
do at the end of the course? Okay.
That's great, teacher Olga. So can we describe you as a one or as a two?
As a one.
As a number one. Wow, nice. All right. But I'll tell you what, today my expectation is that you will see that the kind of activities that you can also do not only in 11th grade, but also in other grades. So let's see how we go. Thank you, teacher Olga.
Okay.
All right. Let's see if we have some ideas, some other ideas in the chat box. I would like to call John.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Good. Can you see me? Okay, it's my camera. Oh, okay, it's all right. Well, James, very interesting exercise, I guess. Exploring this context has opened the doors for what is coming next. But I would like to stop for a second, James, because I'm really happy to see what is going on in the chat. Teachers are participating in the chat box, definitely. But I must say that you have a group of fans, man.
Do I?
You do, man. It's just like Diego Fernando Waki Casalla says, "You rock, James." Okay, and everybody is a few people are saying like, "Hi, James." You're very popular, so you have your fan base here. So hello to all the teachers. I want to say hi also to Fanny Palacio. You know why? Yeah, that's it. James, Fanny Palacio, a teacher from the Brookshire Bilingual School in San Andres Island. She's connected right now via YouTube.
Fanny.
So, Fanny, hi from San Andres Island. It's very nice to have you here. Okay, James. There's something I wanna tell you and all the teachers, especially the teachers. Remember that if you want to get your certificate, you gotta register your information. You have to go to the upper part of the chat box on the YouTube channel. You go there, you see a blue banner. You click there and you register your information. Teachers, if you want to get your certificate, go there, register the information, and you'll get the certificate and the information that you need from this masterclass. And also, James, I would like to tell you and everybody who's watching us live about the Eco Universe. Eco Universe is a very strong, very robust strategy from the Ministry of Education and the British Council, in which you can find resources, videos, podcasts, different types of worksheets to develop students' abilities in English language teaching. So please pay attention to this information. And then we'll get back to the teaching toolbox.
Hola, hello. Queremos darte la bienvenida a un universo lleno de historias, juegos, actividades, radio, videos y muchos recursos. Esto es ECO 2.0. ECO significa English for Colombia y es un universo educativo compuesto por dos grandes estrategias, ECO Radio y ECO Web. ¿Qué es ECO Radio? ECO Radio es una estrategia que incluye 2 programas de acuerdo a la edad de los oyentes. Para niños entre 6 y 11 años está ECO Kids, un programa de radio para aprender inglés recorriendo las riquezas naturales y culturales de Colombia. Para jóvenes y adolescentes entre los 12 y 18 años está ECO Teens, un programa que los motiva a construir sueños y proyectos a través del inglés. Ambos programas cuentan con personajes entretenidos y secciones atractivas para cada rango de edad.
Right, and Eco Teens is quite tuned in with what we're saying today. All right, before we get into detail for each one of the strategies, we invite you to watch the following video or part of the video in which a student tells us how English helped her in her career path.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Elena Paula Correa Castán, soy estudiante en la licenciatura de Español e Inglés en la Universidad Pedagógica Nacional y voy a hablar del impacto o influencia que tuvo mi proceso de aprendizaje en el Colegio La Merced IED. Bueno, realmente el impacto o la influencia que tuvo la decisión de llegar a estudiar inglés como una carrera profesional fue gracias a los profesores que tuve en la educación secundaria o bachillerato, puesto que me parecía que, bueno, me sigue pareciendo que eran profesores que no se enfocaron en la enseñanza a través de guías o de libros, o pues como toda esta enseñanza tradicional a la que se le juzga tanto el inglés. Por lo tanto, los profesores que tuve siempre se enfocaron más en una metodología participativa, siempre intentaban hablarnos en inglés y no en español, a pesar de que muchas no entendieran lo que decía la profesora. Asimismo, afortunadamente las profesoras que tuve se enfocaban en enseñar el inglés a través de métodos que no se enfocaran solo en la gramática, o si se enfocaban en la gramática era a través de métodos que se enfocaran en nuestros intereses. Es decir, por ejemplo, cuando nos
Okay, before we move on, I would like to thank teacher Janet Becerra from La Merced for helping us with this testimonial, and she has been doing an amazing job in this school. Okay, and then I saw a lot of ones and twos in the chat box. That's really nice. Like all of you are knowledgeable of the topic, but also that you want to learn more. That's beautiful. Okay, so let's get into business, and now we're moving on to our first strategy. In our first strategy, I decided to call it Me Someone to Look Up to. Me Someone to Look Up to is a strategy in which, or a project in which students will strengthen self-worth. Students will have a big change in their self-image, and they will look at themselves in the mirror, trying to understand who they are, but also they will identify these strengths, identify these positive things we all have, and then decide or sort of like connect this to their future, see how the positive things they have will play in their favor, and how this will probably give them a career path or a lifestyle. If we move on to the next one, we'll see what the first step is. How do we prepare for this? This is something, everything I'm telling you today is things I do in my class, and I'll be telling you how my students react and what the outcome is. First thing I usually do is like I help my students explore role models. So I would like to bring into class, let's say, biographies, video clips of people who are, say, on the one hand, like famous or celebrities, but also people who are worth looking up to. I mean, people whose lifestyle or whose life story is remarkable, and also someone who for whom English has been an important factor. Imagine, for example, bringing the biography of Sebastian Yatra, who learning English, who by learning English has explored a lot of new markets and has been able to conquer or start conquering, like they say, the American market, and now being able to live in Miami. Or what about Shakira and how learning English transformed or boosted her career, and therefore like becoming global? So yes, bringing these kinds of role models will definitely help us as inspiration. And then it's a good, let's say, opportunity to discuss with your students like reasons to be looked up, whether or not a person is worth looking up to, because we all know there are people who are famous and who are celebrities, but perhaps are not such good role models. So this is a good space for debating. And what you can see on screen, like the little icon, is this is some kind of material that you will be getting in the takeaway material. So you will be able to print and go. To just print this, go to your class, and then you will have enough material to discuss, for your students to work, to fill in, to interact with materials. And this is something you can do in any grade, 6th, 7th, 9th grade. So and then it's really good, this conversation. So this is how we prepare our brains for in order to understand me as someone to look up to. If we move on to the next slide, which is the doing part, this is where when I start like, all right, I already look at others, but I need to look at myself on the mirror. And then I need to identify these trends that I do have, but perhaps, like nobody has ever told me, or I myself cannot identify it. And that is why we have a character test. You will be getting links to character testing via Character, which is an amazing social emotional learning webpage, which has tests for teenagers, for adults, for children on identifying character strengths. And then students can discover like what they're good at and what they can do, like by the end of taking this test or doing these activities, they will say, you know what, my strength is humor. My sense of humor is amazing. Or I am really good at forgiving or honesty, perhaps hope. I am very humble, a very humble person. My thing is teamwork. So we all have strong areas, and the purpose of this doing part is basically identify what these strong areas are. I saying like, this is me, and this is what represents me. This is what comes good, what I can offer my community, what I can offer my family, what I can give to others. And this is the beautiful part of the process. If you ask me, this self-discovery, your students will finally hear something positive about themselves, because there's nothing easier than identifying your own flaws or your own limitations. If you ask your student, what do you need to get better at? They will immediately come up with a lot of ideas, like a lot of things. No, teacher, my pronunciation is no good. I cannot, I don't have enough vocabulary. I can't think of ideas. I'm very shy. So it's quite relatively easy to find out or to spot on negative things. However, it is not as easy to find out my strengths. And these tests will help you up, or will help your students discover their own strengths. Good news, you can go cross-curricular. I mean, if you feel your students are not ready to take this test in English, you can also, on Via Character, you will find the test in Spanish as well. And then you can have a nice conversation with the ethics teacher or the Spanish teacher and say, like, why don't we do this together? And we go cross-curricular, another affordance of someone to look up to. Moving on to the going beyond part, it's like, it's time for action. I love action. So it's like, first, I look at others, then I looked at myself, but now I will show myself to the world. I know that I am really good at public speaking because I like talking in public. I know I am great at, my sense of humor is amazing. My nails decoration skills are amazing. Embroidery, YouTubing, singing, karaoke, whatever skills they can identify, take advantage of them, teachers, and help your students go beyond. And what I do with my students is I have them record a video clip calling my acceptance speech. In here in the illustration, you can see Kate Winslet receiving the Oscar for the movie The Reader. But then probably you want to go for something more upbeat. You can have a YouTuber, I don't know, Luisito Comunica, receiving the golden plate for the YouTube awards, or any others. So I do have my students do something like this, like prepare, record, and share an acceptance speech, and they will come up or invent or guess an award for themselves. How about that for a strategy? I would like you to imagine how you feel about this first strategy I just shared with you, me, someone to look up to. Again, I would like you to go to the chat box and tell us if this is something like, no, I already do it. Or I would like to try this. Why not? Then you would be a number 2. Tell us in the chat box, teacher. Surely I'll adapt it. Then you'll go a number 3 or 4. I'm not sure about it. Like, you probably would do something different. But I would also like to ask teacher Brainer from Barranquilla. So how do you like this strategy, teacher Brainer?
Well, it's an amazing strategy, an amazing activity. Put our students to think about themselves and to help them identify their strength and their to know them well, to know themselves well. You know, we always think about how to connect with our students and how to make them use English. And this is a great way because again, they will be talking or using English to express themselves, to say their limitations, to talk about their skills, to talk about their dreams. And we are also not only using English to teach vocabulary, but also to reflect about their own lives and to build a life plan and to consider the possibility of using or focus on their skills in order to get away in life. So this is an amazing, amazing activity. I like the last part, the word part. I've done something like this, not like this, but I like the way you plan this, and I definitely love the award part because we all deserve an award, and our teenagers, they do deserve to know that they can receive one day an award, and they can dream about that. And hopefully they will work to get that award.
Absolutely. Thank you, teacher. Yes, and the good thing about this is that you can scaffold it, or you can just make of this not just like a day thing. You can like extend it as a month or even term project. So you can not necessarily you need to do the whole process in a week or something like that, but you can just little by little do this, or even you can have it in different grades. Like for six, you will do the awakening and thinking of models, but then in seventh grade, they would just probably look at themselves in the mirror. And then in eighth grade, they would probably be ready to come out and show themselves in creating materials and things like that. Absolutely. So I see a lot of numbers in the chat box, John. I see a lot of twos around.
Yeah, I was just checking. Besides the numbers, we have teachers referring to the strategies as an excellent way to implement it, and we have plenty of twos and a couple of threes, but most of them are twos. So thank you, teachers. Thank you, teachers. And yes, that's basically it. People saying hello, James. Go, James.
Oh my. All right.
Man,
I must
that's
have done
great.
something right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great indicator. Yeah, definitely.
Good. All right. So moving on to our next strategy, our
Let's
second big strategy is called, I decided to call it my Lifeline Binder. Understand a binder as a folder in which you put information like a scrapbook, and then you can put all sorts of information regarding certain topic, in this case, a life plan or a life project. This is a beautiful, let's say, piece of work because it's the artistic part. And in the beginning, teacher Olga was telling us about how arts permeate their practice in the Normal in Manizales. So it's beautiful to see how English is not an isolated part of the study plan, or my syllabus is not something like an island up there, but it's like something that somehow takes me closer to students' realities, students' interests, and students' passions and talents. So beautiful thing about this life project or this strategy is like your students can go artistic. They can go developing beautiful materials. Some of them are really good at handcrafts and creating things with their hands, decorating. But you know what? Some others are really good at technology, and some of them will come up with an online binder, or with a, let's say, they're creating beautiful things in Canva or PowerPoint or any other tools that they are so knowledgeable of. And probably we cannot just limit it to paper. And now in our modern trends that we are using less and less paper, perhaps having an online binder would also be a nice way out. Eh, that is what my life plan binder is about, and we will see how this will favor students building up their life project. How do we prepare to create a life plan binder? So perhaps first time you do it, you won't probably have models, but after the second time you do it, you make sure you save some models or some evidence from previous experiences, because it will be nice. However, online you can find a lot of examples of binders, not exactly for this project, but you can just like perhaps display and show them how binder works, the different options, whether they can use cut-ups, whether they can use recycled paper. Some students have even managed to make their own paper by recycling used sheets of paper. They will get to describe, let's say, favorite ways of expressing themselves, artistic, with pens, pencils. Lettering is a very fashionable or trendy thing these days, right? They will get to personalize the materials. It's a really fun activity, and then the more you show them examples, the better outcomes they will have. And a very important part of this is like your students will get in accountability. I mean, like they will be accountable for having their own binder. They will watch it and guard it, and they will save it. But not only that, but also they will be able to go back to it and say, oh, this is what I dream of at the beginning of the year. They will not forget about it. So this is how we will prepare. for it. Let's see how we do it. In the next slide, we'll see how we get there, right? Well, a very practical way to go for it is to have a dream map. And guess what? You're getting in the takeaway material. You're getting a dream, a really beautiful dream map that me and my students were designing together, and then you will be able to have it just for print and go. So. What is a dream map? Basically, is a graphic organizer in which you can either write or cut up or copy and paste or draw images of how you visualize. How about that apartment that you would like to have by the beach in the future? How about those dream vacations? How about a lot of people do that in the room? They have a poster, and this is something you can actually do with your students. Have a poster on your desk or at your desk or on your bedroom, in your closet, say, and then having all these beautiful images and visuals that will help me like tune in for whatever I want. Because the first part of this is dare to dream. Your students will be dreaming no matter how crazy this may sound, all right? This will help me keep track of my process, all right? By having my wheel of life, for example, and I fill this out and then I will put it in my binder. Eventually, I did this in January, but then I want to go back to my binder in March. And then I say, oh, I did the dream of life and my school results was a 4, but now it's a 6. So I must have done something right, and so on and so forth. So keeping track of your process is something priceless of this part of the project, because your students will be able to go back to it and you yourself. And needless to say, it's a very creative task. If we want to go beyond, or let's say the culmination or the ending of how to wrap up this project, the Life Plan Binder, there's a zillion ways you can go, let's say, with this. For example, what I've done before is like arrange a binder fair with students, and then eventually it would be, I haven't done this, but it would be very beautiful to invite parents over for them to see, because my students are university students, so inviting parents is not really like the way to go. But the school, it would be awesome if parents get to see like their children's dreams on paper, and then a visual part on a screen. That would be beautiful. But also part of this, and then part of this, or a way to go, would be send out CVs as part of the binder. Would be like my curriculum in English, my CV. All right. Find job opportunities is another way that you can tell your students. Actually, teacher Olga was telling us about it a moment ago. All right. So guess what, teachers? My students and I have been working really hard in getting resources for you. And in the takeaway material, you will be getting like 20 or 30 different links for your students to visit about career opportunities for people who finish the school, who just finished schools, opportunities to learn English, education, exams, and things like that. So you will find all these tools in the takeaway material, and they are fresh from the oven. They are current information that you can use next week with your students, and you will love this. All right, so we were really enthusiastic in getting this material for you, and I would like to thank my students because they also helped me like with the gathering information for you guys. They were really excited to know that this was going to be actually used. Another strategy: let your students know that the class task is a real thing, and it's something that will eventually become reality for somebody else. This is a highly motivational booster. Well, I guess the expert for this is teacher Olga, who has a lot to tell us and maybe expand a little bit on life plan binders and life plan strategies.
Okay, thinking about life plan, I think I do this already. It has been a very nice experience, and I have to talk about another way to practice the experience, taking into account your ideas about exploring role models. I was using a new strategy around a very important leader around the world, that is Emma Watson. We were watching in our classes a video about the campaign He for She. and we were talking about equality, about gender, and the students were thinking about it. If we can change our word, if we can accept ourselves, and they're going to define themselves. And then we were talking about their plans, their lives. We were preparing something. We were discussing about the speech, and we are combining both. We are thinking about models, but new models for them, like this very important leader, Emma Watson, and they are thinking decision about their lives. They are going to write a special speech. They were discussing, and they were identifying that we can be ourselves without any different discrimination. We can be ourselves. We can talk about our likes, our preferences, and they are going to think about life decision. It's another way to take into account both ideas.
Imagine. Thank you very much for sharing, and that's so generous of you sharing all these, let's say, strategies that you bring into your classroom. And I'm pretty sure, teacher, I'm pretty sure this is not something you do by yourself. You have a team at school. Tell us a little bit about it. Like
Yes, I have a
how do your
team in my school.
coworkers?
We are always studying, preparing. We have learned a lot from the British Council, from school to school, and from about CLIL. For that reason, we are thinking about different projects, and we have to involve our students' interest. For that reason, we are watching videos. We are very interested in music. We are taking into account different strategies around geography, history, things that are important for them. Because I think in this way they are going to learn English, but with pleasure, and they are going to make it in a very meaningful way. Okay?
Wow. Amazing. And teachers, tell us in the chat box, how do you feel about this strategy? If this is something that you already do or something you would like to do. Okay, there's a lot to say about life binders, and there's a zillion possibilities. There are so many things that you can put in that binder, a template. Actually, I like to put there, and I am quite fond of graphic organizers. So let me tell you a little bit, meanwhile we get more opinions in the chat box, about a very particular graphic organizer that I have my students put in their binder, and this is called Ikigai. You're probably familiar with the word Ikigai. If you haven't heard it, this is a Japanese word which actually doesn't have a translation into English or Spanish or any other language. But Ikigai is a way to live longer, better, and busier. So Ikigai is a beautiful diagram, and teachers, you will be getting in the takeaway material. It's a way to identify. This diagram will help you identify, let's say, your passion, combining what you love with what you're good at. That is your passion. But it will also help you discover your mission in life, combining what you love with what the world needs. If you combine what you love and the world needs, I love teaching, but the world needs English teachers. That is my mission in life. Yeah. Now, if we have, for example, if we combine what the world needs and what you can get paid for, that's your vocation, right? It's a vocational, let's say, encounter. But then if you combine what you can be paid for with what you're good at, that is your profession. And guess what? The combination of passion, mission, profession, and vocation is your ikigai. It's a way to live longer, happier, and busier. So I have my students fill out this graphic organizer, and believe me, it's quite a fun experience, and it's lovely because some students will just approach and they'll come to you saying like, teacher, I don't know what I'm good at, or I don't know what I could possibly get paid for. But it's a great opportunity for conversation, for interaction, and then bringing up their knowledge. Did you know that people get paid for designing clothes for video games? Oh, really? Yes, they are video games designers, fashion designers. oh, tell me more about it. And then you go online and find materials, and this becomes like a whole class project, which is actually very beautiful. And then it's a great way to connect with your students' passions, with your students' interests. Best thing you could possibly do, teachers, is listening. Listen to them, listen to what they have to say, listen to everything they can come up with, because ultimately we are preparing students for jobs that probably don't exist. So who knew you could probably get paid for collecting stones or taking photos of stones, like in your local surrounding, and then people get paid for this and they get money. Who knew you could get paid for driving a car around, filming, making a video for Google Maps? And then that is a job that never existed before, a drone driver. Hmm? So, uh, you name it. All right. So Ikigai is another template or another like takeaway that you are taking today. How about that for a strategy? I would like to see what you guys say in the chat box. I see a lot of tools, John. Do we see anything else here in the chat box?
Definitely James. But I got a question for you, man.
Sure.
Have you found your ikigai,
Ah,
or
I'm on it.
you're on it? Great, great. It's an ongoing path, I guess, part of a journey. James, let me tell you something. You know that teachers connect to the live stream, and some of them on time, some of them catch up with us, right? And with the catching up, we have teachers saying hello to you, saying hello to other teachers. But I have a comment that I really loved, and I want to say hi to Dali Garcia. In the previous technique, just right after we finished, she commented this. She gave one as a student, so number one as a student, who did the activity. She did the activity as a student, and she's giving a number two as a future teacher.
Wow.
I love that. One as a
Hello,
student who
Daddy.
did the activity, and number two as a future teacher. Dali Garcia, hi, hi, hi. Thanks for your comment. We have, I don't know if you know Torco Peñaranda, but she's catching up with us, and she just commented, she says, Ham is cool. I also love those last things, cycling movies, and more than anything, cats. So they saying hi to you. But coming back to this number one, two, three, and four, in this strategy that you're sharing, we have a variety. We have Daisy Patricia, number two, Profe Erika Rojas, number four, as well as Lucy Gonzalez. Okay. Luz Mila, number two and three. She's in between. Paula Daniela, number two. And the rest of them, as you can see in the chat box, two, two, two. Mariela Castro, Luis Alejandro Gutierrez Murillo, and Jamile Guzman. So thank you, all the teachers who are participating. We have number two. I would like to try this. Most of them haven't. So this is serving the purpose.
Thank you, John. A
No,
lifelike
thank you.
binder.
Yes, yes, binder. Yes. Thank you very much.
Awesome. And now let's take a look at our third strategy. Okay. I decided to call this strategy reaching out my community. And teachers, I'd like you to take a look at how we are shifting from one realm to the other. So we started with me, a person to look up in the internal forum, like how I perceive myself, my self-worth, my self-esteem. But then you went a little bit like looking at your interaction with others, and then how my binder could be built, and then how I could interact with the world, my passion, my vision, my vocation. This is me and how I interact with my surrounding. But there is a moment when I want to reach out my community, and I'm talking to those of you who probably teach 9th, 10th, and especially 11th grade, when you want to change the world, when you start having, let's say, new passions, when you start having new interests, when you are more eager to transform your immediate reality, when you have a keen eye to identify local issues, and when you are probably ready to, let's say, go to the world and propose or generate an impact in your community. So this reaching my community is like the last strategy I'm sharing, and it's precisely the last because it's the one that permits putting into action all these beautiful things that I already discovered of me as a human being and my strengths, and also my perception of me in the future and how I could take an active role in a life-like project, and this time a life project, which is actually impacting my community, right? So in reaching out my community, not only your students will develop empathy, but they also identify, let's say, local issues. They will also have the opportunity to debate within a class context what is causing these problems. I don't know, let me say an example. You've probably heard that these days in Mosquera, there's been a huge issue of a floating foam or froth clouds going along the street, and they are smelly and they can be potentially toxic. So this is a topic of the utmost concern, and then students and parents and everybody in the community should be are probably concerned and interest. But then beyond that, it's also and trying to see the bright side is like it's a teachable or it's a teaching opportunity for students to generate, let's say, possible courses of action, to identify where this all comes from, to, let's say, either to know what's going on and what I can do about this, and most importantly, to generate actions for preventing whatever this not from happening in the future. Um, so it's a great opportunity, although it's sad, of course, we know, and it's worrisome, but it's an opportunity for us to look at the local environment. And let me tell you about this. I have observed amazing projects, and I have accompanied amazing projects in schools in Bogota. I will tell you more about it along the way. All right, but then ultimately this will take us to take action and to do. All right. So if we move on to the next slide, we will get to see how we prepare, how we get ready to reach out my community. And then the first thing you want to do is learn about global issues such as pollution, elections, waste, and disease. You want to probably bring articles. It's a great opportunity to go cross-curricular. So why not talking to the social studies teacher, to the biology teacher, to the chemistry teacher, or any other that is willing to, let's say, like undertake a project with you and then do it together and probably think of courses of actions. That would be lovely. That would be amazing. So bringing up this material, call it video, call it readings, call it tests and things like that, will definitely raise awareness, and then will help students diagnose, hey, what's going on in this regard? What are the causes of it? Where does this all come from? Um, and then together your class can think of what is something that is affecting my community, and then could probably brainstorm on how to tackle that problem. I was telling you that I have been in many schools, or in some schools, let's say, since projects alike, and then I saw a beautiful project in a school in Rafael Uribe Uribe locality, and then in here the teacher and her students in 8th grade discover a big problem, that it was waste, how the local or the school restaurant generated a big amount of waste, and to what extent all the food that children or students didn't eat, it would go to the trash. And they were really concerned in what was happening to all that, where this all was going. And then they somehow decided to create an awareness campaign on, or let's say, raising awareness and helping others understand that whatever they didn't eat would go to the trash, and they would generate some environmental impact. But then they also were curious about eating habits and to what extent some students might potentially be having issues, let's say, in regarding food disorders. So they had to go and find out more about it. But everything was so natural, and it flowed naturally, that it was beautiful how the classroom became a laboratory, a social laboratory, not only of English teachers, not only of how do you say or what's the word for, but also on how this is impacting my community and what I can do about it. So this preparing part is beautiful, and it's absolutely important because it will help us, or it will give us the north or where we are all going with this project. If we move on to the doing, it's like, as I'm telling you, the awareness, the raising awareness. Another school in Engativá, this curious teacher in 10th grade decided to run a suicide prevention campaign. You know, you all know suicide is a topic that uh, happens, but nobody talks about Bruno, right? Nobody talks about it, and we prefer not to talk about these painful issues. And then, but this teacher went ahead and she said, like, this is something I want to talk about. And it was September, guess what? Suicide Prevention Day. And the teacher said, like, you know what? I want to run a suicide prevention campaign with my 10th grade students. And then the moment the teacher had a photo gallery in her classroom with statistics, numbers, photos of things related to suicide and suicide prevention campaigns, students started eventually, let's say, being more interested and wanted to say something. And yes, there's a friend of mine or somebody in my neighborhood, or I myself have thought about it. And this is not something like I have only observed, I have also done it in my class. And my students ran a beautiful set of skits like in Language Day 2 weeks ago in Unica. Um, on suicide prevention, and it was so emotional. Imagine a room, 200 students being absolutely silent and astonished by a skit, a 2 minute skit that two of my students performed, but they were so touched and they were so involved in the suicide prevention campaign that they made everyone, they like wiped their eyes. I don't know. It was like, it was so emotional. Uh, and it was so meaningful because in the project everybody was taking an active role. So not only they were presenting, not only they were having skits, but somebody was in charge of technology because that was their talents. Some others were in charge of looking at for the appropriate music and photos to display. Some others would be in charge of the microphones. So everybody felt along the project that they were cooperating, that they were building up eh, to have a successful project. And this is what I mean, like by doing, not all your students have to be on stage, not all students have to be on the camera, but also validate those other talents and also open room for students to cooperate from their area of expertise, from their talents, from their experience. So this is how we raise awareness on reaching out my community. And if we want to go beyond, in the next slide, we will get to see how reaching the community, or because this is too good to be kept with indoors. I mean, if you do this and you only keep it in your classroom, shame on you, teachers, because this is something you want to show the world. This is something you want to tell others. So there's many possible ways that you can do it, that you can bring these projects to the school community. For example, social networks. Social networks are great ways to socialize and to share. For example, there's like the school of parents, why not? Okay. So socializing the strategy, as you can see, students are involved in the planning process, but then you want to raise not only language awareness, and not only your students will be developing the skills in how do you say, what's the word for, what structure should I be using, which is absolutely important, but also there are other subsidiary skills that your students will be, let's say, learning or will be exploring: organization and planning, deciding, prioritizing, leadership. Uh, so whenever you want to have an intervention like this in your school, your students will be exposed to lifelike activities, and they will not only think of this is what we're doing, but what could go wrong. What if there is no microphone? Let's think about how we are doing. Let's create a calendar to get there. At this moment, my students are creating a language learning immersion for other students. And then they are doing all this. They are worried, they are concerned in what the process is, how I do this, how I can cooperate, whether or not we're following the calendar, whether how we connect. So, and we have committees in the classroom. So some students are in the advertising committee, so they design pieces, like visual pieces to share with the other groups, or they communicate with administrators or coordinators to manage the logistics, transportation, things like that. Some of them are getting a budget for how much are we going to pay for this and that. So all the possible talents come to the conversation, and students feel worth. Students feel like, okay, my English might not be the best, yeah, but I am really good at this, and I am cooperating here, and the project was successful because of me. Hmm? So this is the magic of this, and this is how you can go beyond. So I would like to ask Karen how you feel about reaching my community, and how you feel, and I know you have a lot to share and tell us about this.
I really love this activity and this strategy. I can say that in this case, I'm number one. I do this already. First of all, thanks, James, for this strategy because you are trying to open our minds about this kind of activities, and also the importance that the context and also the culture, the own culture that the students have, are important, and how we have to take into account all these aspects, not just different cultures or different situations that happened out of our country, also these activities that happened here in Colombia. It's one of the most important things that we have to take from this strategy. And also, I think that this strategy invites our students to investigate. Also, it motivates them to practice, also to create, share, and also share their own thoughts and ideals. Not just about like the simple things that happens in their daily life, but also they have to establish a conversation. They have to investigate, and also you took into account four different aspects: the empathy, identity, cooperation, and attitude. This the action that it's they are like the most important things that we have to remember and that we have to take from our students. This empathy for the other student, for the community, how we can or how they can help, how they can change their own context throughout English language, how they can present their own context, and also the identity. We have to be proud about our country, about our culture, and everything that is happening now, because this is part of our culture. Now the idea is that we have to, or I know I'm part of your presentation, and I think that I invite all the people, all teachers and students, to be part of this country and to take this as us. Also, the cooperation. All the students, in this case, are invited to work as a team. That it's one of the most important things. Not just to take like a piece of paper, a pen, and do the different activities, different sentences, and practice the simple, the past, or something like that. Not just to take into account the culture and try to transform, try to change it throughout the English language and act about it. Okay, in this moment, Hams, I wanna share one experience with you. Um, as I already told you, and all the teachers who are connected to this, but to this master class, I'm part of the innovation club. In this case, I'm in the senior part. But since the last year, we will be working in one activity or in one project that I invite to all of you to be part of this. That it's called Tubers. Cultures was an idea that was taken from different parts or different thoughts and ideals from different teachers from different parts of the world, sorry, of the country, that provides or helps students to show their own culture throughout English language. It has to be like cultureverse. It sounds like a YouTuber. You already said like Luisito Comunica. We took like some ideas about it because this is the new thing, and we have to be with the actual things that are happening right now.
Mhm.
And culture and all YouTubers and things that are happening social media. It's one of the most important things that teenagers are taken into account, and they or these kind of activities try to catch their attention, and they are motivated with this part. With this activity, the idea is that the students have to show on they are showing their own culture throughout different videos. They are short videos, and we are taking in this case, it's by using the strategy design thinking. That it's how we have to take a problem and how we can give different kind of solutions to this problematic. In this case, is how we can implement or how we can help the students to motivate learning English. And this is one of the most important parts. In this case, we took into account the problematic. Also, they have or they are talking about their own culture. In this case, they are creating different things about a Zipaquirá culture. And also, another part that I gave them to take into account was their talent. We have to motivate our students. And thank you very much, James, for this opportunity. It was, or this third purpose that you have for this model, it has been a great opportunity, like to reinforce many different things that we have to apply in our classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we have a great team up there in Zipaquirá too. Alrighty, good. And remember, if you want to get the takeaways, all this beautiful material I'm telling you about, you need to register, right? So make sure you click on the blue banner and you get to type your data so that you will be getting all this material for putting this into practice. Okay, so probably it's about time to look at a little bit at who my students are, right? Because like right, they have been doing a lot in the strategies, but if we don't look at who they are or where they are standing, probably I'm missing a big part of my job as a teacher. I'm missing a an important part of the process, which is having a look at my students' reality. Okay, probably when we look at or when we think about life project, we tend to think about these 10, 11th grade students, which are a very particular state of development. But what about the others, teachers? What about sometimes we believe that because of students are too young, let's say sixth, seventh, eighth grade, they're really too young to start thinking about a life project. But um, this is something worth looking at, and this is something important describing because for those of you who teach different grades, you definitely get to see that it's like you are teaching totally different people. I mean, like you have the student in seventh grade, but then you go back to teach your 10th grade within a few years, and then it's a total different person who has grown, who has developed in many different regards. For example, the physical development, there's a lot of things we can say about it, like from 6th to 11th grade there's dramatic change going on within their bodies, the chemistry of their brains, the puberty, their first period, the appearance of sexual attraction, social exploration, let's say a lot of contradictions in terms of like, what's happening to my body, why am I so big, why I don't fit in in this desk, all right? And this may somehow generate some degree of confusion. We should not lose track of of this as a factor that definitely affects learning, because this is a struggle students are going on are undergoing. There are of course new trends, new tendencies. There are new words that students are using, they want to explore. The other day, and let me tell you a story, my 15-year-old nephew went like, "I uncle, but you are so 50." So like, what? Me 50? Never. Okay. So like, okay. So first I calmed down. I said like, what do you mean 50? Why do you call me 50? What 50? What is it? What is that about? So like, no, uncle, I don't really know. I just wanted to use the word. So, and this happens to new generations. If we are not really tuning with tuning with whatever they are going through, probably we're missing a lot. Wrapping up with the physical development, there's change even in their sleeping habits. You notice, like, you get students into class drowsy or really tired, and that is because this is going on. All right. So not keeping this in mind for my planning and for whatever I do in class might be a big a big mistake if you ask me. But also, we want to look at the cognition realm, let's say, the academics, so to speak, the way to see the world. And then there is the appearance, or there is the development of formal operations, if you know what we're talking about. Like, students will be able to make different kinds of abstractions. They will be able to connect different kind of events or not connect. If we talk about executive functions, we probably think about students being able to foresee the consequences of their doing within the a longer term, so they are no longer like immediate thinking, but perhaps they are willing now to, or able better, they are now able to connect their doing to whatever consequences there might be. There is a there if we talk about 9th, 10th, 11th graders, there is a keen interest for the social realm, and the social outburst in Colombia was not a surprise. That a lot of the people who were protesting in the streets were like school children, 15, 16, 17-year old. And it's because they have this interest, and we need to take advantage of this. We need to use this in our behalf. Like, they are so interested in whatever is going on in society, whatever is going on with the planet, with the environment, that I need to bring this into my classroom and make it real, so that they won't ask the question that they are always asking: what is this good for, after all? Why am I learning English? This subject is not really helping me in life. I am not, the teacher doesn't really know what I'm going through or what my interests are. All right. So challenge, students may start challenging authority and challenging you and your knowledge and asking you tricky questions. Eh, this is who they are. So start thinking, teachers, who are your students? And I invite you to use the hashtag my students are, and tell us more about your students. Perhaps I'm missing part of the picture and you want to tell us. Hashtag my students are. My graders are. My 11th graders are. Tell us in the chat box. Um, and let's reflect a little bit onto the axiological realm. All right, I call it ethics here, but it's more like about, let's say, how they see authority. Now there's a new way to look at authority, and how I challenge this. There is a different perception of myself. Now I can even hide, or I can even overexpose myself. That's why we have a lot of students, let's say, overexposing their bodies on their daily life in social networks, because there is a change of paradigm, and there is a change of how I show myself, and to what extent I need approval from others. There is a different perception of risk. I am more of a risk taker. If I am ninth grader or 10th grader, perhaps I am more keen to, let's say, go and take the risk and go and take the plunge. So my values and my standards are proven. Are This is the fire test, so to speak. Um, there is also a different perception of diversity. You probably have seen students with color nail, and then how they reevaluate, or how they see from a different perspective diversity, and being what to be a man is, what to be a woman is, and everything in between. Um, all this awakening, or all this opening, is like, oh my god, one more ingredient to the stock, one more ingredient to whatever is going on. Not only they are physically going through like a hormones avalanche, but they are also perceiving the world in a different way, and now their ethics and their values is being tested because of whatever is going on. They're more skeptical, of course, and they are perhaps in opposition to everything adults say. They have a different command of information. Probably they now have more secrets, or as I said before, they are more exposed. What are your students are? Tell us in the chat box. My students are. Hashtag my students are. Um, who are your students? So I would like to call John and tell us a little bit, like, ah, wait, no. Thank you, John. I
Okay,
would
bye
all
bye.
no.
But we
It's like
we can have a conversation here too.
we have heard very little from Brainer. I would also, but
Okay,
no, no,
Brainer.
John,
Yeah,
stay
it's
here.
Brainer.
Oh, John escaped. Brainer, how do you feel about your students? Who do you think they are at this point?
Well, right now I'm teaching sixth graders. So they are like, I don't know, like they are kids, but they are not kids. They are becoming teenagers, and they are young adults also. So you know that's the the problematic age where they are growing up, and their bodies are changing, and they don't know and they do not understand, and sometimes they get depressed because of that, and they don't want to talk. Boys don't want to talk because of their voice, and girls they don't feel that comfortable because of their bodies, because they are becoming women, and then they are kids. So everything is happening at the same time, and it's very very interesting this question, because when you started talking about it, I was thinking like, do I know actually, I mean, do I know for real who my students are, where they are right now, and what are they facing, and in my classes, how can I help them through this path, how can we create strategies, or use this life plan idea to help them understand that they are growing up. That growing up is a natural process, and that it might look like something painful, but it is not in the end, because we are becoming men and women worthy of value, worthy of everything. So it is really, really interesting. But as I was telling at first, sixth graders are just in that process of being kids and becoming teenagers, and they are still respecting authority, but some of them are already starting to to look up at you and say, no, teacher, I'm not gonna go. I don't want to do this, and stuff like that.
I see. And Rainer, teacher, I would you say your students are too young to think about a life project or to start talking about it? Would you rather wait a little bit, or sixth grade you can start doing little things here and there?
No, I think it's the perfect time to make them, raise awareness of this, raise this consciousness of that they are becoming someone, that they are kids, that they will be someday a father and a mother, and they will have their own lives. So, and it's important for them to start thinking about who they want to be at the end. Am I going to be an actor? I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a lawyer. What is it that we can do? And in my context, our parents, they have very regular jobs. So when you were also talking about this game designing and all these abilities that now we have, and that people can get paid for, it's another opportunity for them to start planning, to start dreaming, to start considering possibilities of becoming someone valuable for society. So I would say that it's like the perfect time to start helping our students to think about their future.
That's great, teacher. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And then I would like to know what we have in the chat box. John, I would like to call John to see what he has for us.
But you get a promise that you will keep me for a couple of minutes. Won't
Okay, I'm
kick me.
sorry about
You won't kick me out. Don't worry, it's okay. James, well, when you finished your sharing the technique number 2, Paula Daniela Jimenez wrote this. It's so deep, James, because so many times we don't know what we're good at, but you will know in your life process. And there's so many teachers highlighting the importance of connecting and using English as a vehicle to explore students' selves, students' likes, students' purposes, students' language, etc., etc., etc. That's very good. And there's been kind of some conversations among the participants in the chat box. For
Wow.
example, some teachers say something and some others respond. For example, Toco Peñaranda and teacher Olga are having a conversation about how Torco has included CLIL during the pandemic, and she's now working with other methodologies in some other classes. And they're having conversations there. Liliana Prieto says it's very interesting to ask students where they have many projects in the work or professional with their work or professional dreams. It's like opening the doors to some inner dreams and some more human aspects and a human touch of language learning. Ligia Ortega Rosero says it's important to know students' projects and dreams in order to improve in these aspects using the foreign language. Fanny Palacio, in our project, students dress like the people they admire and they perform as if they were themselves. Okay. And we have other teachers rating with the numbers that we've been using, number twos, threes. And with the hashtag my students are, Lilia Olivia says, my students are very happy. My students are working on physical development. My sixth grade students are motivated and happy. Students are creative, hardworking, special friends, talkative, funny, dreamers, friendly, creative. My students are really amazing, says Cesar Melendez, and I'm really proud of them as well. And Onyx Castelar, my students are very communicative. And I love Leslie Salas. My students are brave. Thank you,
Amazing,
teachers.
amazing.
And I wanna highlight something you said before because there are teachers asking about the takeaway material. So teachers, if you really want to have access to this material, you have to go and register your information on the upper blue banner on the chat box on YouTube on the YouTube channel. Get your information there. You open the link there. You get all the personal information they ask there, and once you get there, you will get the certificate and the takeaway material along with the certificate. Okay, James. I don't know. I don't want to just jump into here, but are we done with technique number 3 and we're ready for the next section?
We are.
Okay, good. So, teachers, we're finishing this section and we're opening up taking action section. 3 aspects to call to action that James is going to share with us. Stay tuned.
Okay, right. So going back to where we were, right? So in my action step number 1 is help your students build and strengthen their self-image, right? So these diagrams that I'm sharing with you and in the takeaway material that John already told you about how to get, will be very helpful in this regard for helping your students reinforce their positive thoughts about themselves, identify their strengths of characters, get better at certain things, identify what is good from others to look at. All right. And then this all can become not only like an inner discourse, but also a conversation. So it's probably too small, but but in the second, let's say, takeaway material, you will have a space for interaction and also in the wheel of life for your students not only think about themselves and how I am doing in this regard, but also how I feel about it and interacting with others. So there will be prompts within the material in which students will be able to talk to others. But the action step number 1 is basically that: strengthen self-image, look at myself at the mirror, and then see I am good at this, I'm good for this, I can do this, I'm willing, I'm able, and I have a lot of potential. So this action step will help you up let's say, help your students transform. And teachers, if you manage to document this, this will be wonderful. As I was telling you in the beginning, like I fond of social emotional learning, and then there's nothing better for to strengthen social emotional learning practices that reinforcing and improving self-image, looking at yourself, accepting your limit, somehow your emotions, understanding your limitations, and then strengthening, of course, your strengths, like going beyond with your strengths. We all are really worried or are really highly concerned in improving our difficulties, but what if instead we worked on getting exceptional at what I am already good at? So if you manage to help your students look at their strengths and becoming even better at this will definitely will be a gain in their life path, will be a way to look at their future, like I am really good at this, or I might be good at this, but I also need this and this and this. This other student, for example, was eventually the student learned how to cut hair, so he became like the barber in his neighborhood. And this is a life story, it's real, teachers. And then in 11th grade he was like cutting everybody's hair because he would play soccer in his neighborhood, so he was friend with all the guys around, and then he would charge 2,000 pesitos uh, for it. But eventually he was cutting everybody's hair around, so eventually he had more customers that what he could possibly handle, so he had to buy a bicycle to go around to other neighborhoods to cut people's hair after school. But then he realized, and this happened in Ibagué, he realized that not only he needed like the skill, but also he needed more, and he needed to learn about organization skills and numbers and math and how to calculate his profit. And he was the one asking his teachers for tips on how to keep up with his uh, his books and his numbers, and how to make better profit, and how to make a long story short, this guy already has 4 employees, and he graduated very recently. And he has already 4 employees and 4 people working for him in his barber shop, all right? And it was just because he found out that he was good at something he would never picture before. So, but his teachers had a very important impact in this life story, because if the teacher hadn't been interested, if the teacher hadn't been like observing and asking questions and monitoring the student and telling them like, yes, you can do it, perhaps he wouldn't have gotten that far. This is our action step number 1. Let's take a look at number 2. In action step number 2, it's important to keep track of my progress, keep track of whatever I'm doing. But like filling out my wheel of life wouldn't mean anything. It would be just one class activity if I don't manage to, let's say, systematize it, to put it like, let's say, in a folder, and then eventually come back to it and look at like James from February and James from May, how different I am, what improved, what remain, and what I still need to keep on working. So like in this binder that I am proposing proposing for you in the second strategy, your students and also you will be able to keep track of processes, to keep track of how I'm doing things. These organization skills that we all need are present there. So in one of the takeaway materials that you will be getting, which is the little green one on the right, it's like students will learn how to dream, visualize their goal, but also chop it off in small steps, and what I'm doing in February, what I'm doing in March, what I'm doing in April, so that I will get there by the end of the year, right? And you can just edit it and change it, like what I'm doing in Monday, on Tuesday, on Thursday. But chopping off goals, we all know that it's the safest and the best way to plan goals. There's also materials to dream, to plan small goals, as you see here. So these steps and this like keeping track of material, it's absolutely healthy, for everyone, not only for your students, but also this can become part of your evidences in the end of the year on how this project has generated a positive impact among your students. And if that is the case, I will be more than glad to be invited to the socialization of that of that, because that would have told me, that would be telling me that there was an actual impact of whatever I'm bringing for you guys, which is ultimately what we want. So action step number 2, keep track of your process. That is. Now, taking a look at action step number 3 is take advantage of talents, interests, and concerns, or look at what students are into these days. It is no, it is not really a coincidence that the guest of honor in Philbo in the International Book Fair in Bogota was Korea, and it's because there's a huge trend in like students looking up to Korean, let's say Korean celebrities, influencers, singers. They are fans of BTS. You would go to schools, and in the breaks they are performing the choreographies of these bands. They're talking about K dramas, which are doramas. All right, K dramas are in vogue these days. So if we don't know what they are into these days, if we don't know what their interests are, perhaps we're missing a big part of the picture, and we're failing in bringing material that is appealing to them, that matches their not only their developmental status, which is connected to age, but also their surrounding and to what extent culture is permeating and other cultures are permeating whatever they are being exposed to, right? So your students might not be the best, or some of your students might not be the best at public speaking, so they might not want to take the microphone and take the plunge. But what if they are good at doing other things, working with logistics, planning, generating graphic pieces? uh, and I'm talking about strategy number 3, reaching my community. Now, teacher, I am good at Excel and I can make the calendar. All right, great. Teacher, I know a great app to keep track of processes, which is called Slack, so to speak. So let's do this. Teacher, I am really good at keeping track of such and such. So identifying these talents will not only make the project successful, but it will also help students validate themselves, seeing that they can be successful within your class without necessarily being the best at English, without necessarily having the best possible pronunciation. Yes, we all want our students to get better at English, but we also want them to shine, and we also want to validate who they are, and we also want them to feel good about who they are. So doing exploring this is going to definitely make your class an enjoyable experience, and your students will have positive memories of your classes. One of these, the icons down there is Converging Grounds, which I invite you to visit. It's an immersion program, and some schools here in Bogota decided to run these immersion programs, and the way they do it, or the way they did it, is like they decided like 10 and 11th grade students would run the immersion for the language immersion for 6th and 7th students, grade students. And it was amazing. The results that you could possibly see, it's like, and what did they need? The material. You just go to the web, to the internet, and then you will be getting the link also in the toolbox, and then find Converging Grounds, and there's everything is there, print and go. There's online resources for the language immersion that you can probably run, and it's free access because it's information of public domain. uh, eh, Also little propaganda developed by the British Council as well, and Secretaría de Educación. Okay, so um, action step number 3, look at them, look at their talents. Everything will cover sense when you can take an active part within the process, and within it. Okay, let's have John. I would like to call John.
Here I am. Hey, Hamas. Oh, Hamas. We're getting closer to the end of this masterclass. That's why I want to take a couple of seconds here to ask teachers to prepare your questions, please. If you have any question, any comment, and anything that you want to know, to learn, that any doubt you have, please let us know. Your question in the chat box will be pending. So prepare your questions. Secondly, James, you mentioned some material developed by the British Council, Ministry of Education, and one of those strategies that these two have been working on is the Eco Universe. Like an hour, 45 minutes before, we are checking the Eco Universe. Now we have Eco Teens. Eco Teens is a strategy specifically designed for high school, for secundaria and media. Uh, Podcasts, videos, material, etc. If you don't know this, stay tuned and take a look at this video, please. And after that, we go back with a recap.
What is ECHO Teens? Well, ECHO stands for English for Colombia, and it is an educational radio program designed to promote English language learning while exploring different fields like technology, arts, tourism, and sports. The program is designed for teens and presented by teens, Rosita, Aleja, Ana, and Lucho, together with Julian, their English teacher. In the program, they share their life projects and help other young people see the benefits of speaking English. Access other ECHO-Teen resources at echo.colombiaaprende.edu.co or just click on the link in the description box below.
Okay, how about that for a summary? Okay, so having in mind these three strategies, I would like to have a brief, very brief wrap up, let's say reminders on how you can perhaps tackle each one of the strategies that I'm sharing. Remember that in me, someone to look up to, you want to bring role models within the class. How can you do this? You can bring texts, you can bring YouTube videos, you can bring biographies, you can bring even books if they're available in your local library. You can even ask students, not only you provided the information, but you could ask students to find out these short biography clips and perhaps sharing if you happen to have a platform or a site for your students to share useful links. You can have like a map of, let's say, celebrities, you name it. There's lots of things. You can even have a map, let's say an interactive whiteboard in which your students will, let's say, paste the link in each country, and the link is a biography of a person they look up to from this country, and everybody will be in charge of one. For the acceptance speech, which is the last step in this first strategy, perhaps you want to perform live the acceptance speech, but perhaps for some it would be daunting. For some students, of course, it's a big challenge. Not everybody is good at public speaking, but then you can have them read the speech. Why not? Prepare it and then read it. Then perhaps you can have your students make a voice clip for it if you are keen on WhatsApp groups and things like that. So send me your acceptance speech in a WhatsApp clip, or you can just use online tools such as Voxopop to have your students record a 1-minute clip with your acceptance speech if they don't want to show in camera. Other students may be more risk takers, so they want to record that short video with their acceptance speech. So there are so many possibilities, and ultimately, and if they are like really open about it and really cool, tout it in your social networks and share it with the world and see what people say about it. But then what I'm trying to say here is like the sky's the limit. There's a lot you can do with this in the way of strengthening, let's say, self-image, self-worth, and understanding myself, and telling the world that here I am as a stronger, better, and more confident person. In the second strategy, my lifeline binder. Okay, so remember, the first step, or the first most important thing, is dare to dream. Dare to dream. Let your students know that dreaming is okay, that despite the limitations, even if I live in a very small town where there's like very little exposure to the rest of the world, and perhaps your students, the farthest they have been is like the town next to mine, all right, but there's a world out there, and it's okay to dream. It's okay to look at it, and to perhaps long for it. Why not? So something that you can possibly do is have your students, let's say, have this dream poster in their bedroom. Let's say put a lot of things like the car I would like to have, the kind of the dream vacations I want to have in the future, like the dream job, my family, how I picture it, or no family, whatever they want to go with. But also, as dreaming is not is not the only thing. It's like we also need to teach students to portray goals and to plan strategically. So you want to teach them perhaps to plan goals, but not only goals like goals that are feasible, that are smart, that are measurable, that are tangible, that are observable within time. Yeah. So you want to help your students know know that dreaming is okay. You want to be an influencer, you want to have 1 million followers. Yes. How do you want to get there? What are you when do you want to get there? In how many years? What's going to happen in year number 1 in your life? What is the training that you possibly need to become what you say you want to be? You want to be the GOAT, the great player of all the times? Yes. How is this going to happen? How do you scaffold this goal into chunks, and how do you want to get there? How many hours a day will you be training? What will you be doing? Hmm? And take risk, explore your options, go and visit that web page, ask another person, visit the education fair, expose your students to a lot of to a lot of realities in terms of different scenarios that they could probably never dreamt of. Did you know that there's a school of design in Germany that you could probably go for? Really, teacher? And yes. Okay, you're really good at technology. How about dreaming of the MIT? So it's like, why don't you visit the website? Why don't you take a look at this? Why don't you look at this TV program that will probably give you some ideas on it? All right. So teach your students to take risk and explore these options, just like teacher Olga was telling us at the beginning of the presentation. They would just go to universities and take the. I think that's a lot of adrenaline the moment a student gets there, and then gets to the university, and then they're wearing their uniform and everybody's looking at them. But then taking risk is how like progress emerges. And finally, enriching their community. Well, they will be like running a diagnosis. They will be working in an office like environment, making decisions. This will make them feel important. Designing a campaign, creating visual materials, exploring my talents in, like, I'm really good at designing, I'm really good at coloring, I'm really good at I can choose the proper music because I'm a great DJ. Explore their talents and help them, be with them, back them up, and let them execute and share whatever they do it. Ultimately, you want to share this in the school webpage, in the Facebook group of school, or on their Instagram, if that is the case. But reaching out their community is a strategy that will be also be very, very powerful. I hope you have liked today's strategies, and this is a summary of how you could possibly accompany your students in building up a life project from your English class. So I would like to call John.
Back. Okay, very good. James, very concrete, very I don't know, like besides concrete and being a summary, has been accompanied with some reflection. And while you're speaking and connecting with ecoteens, all the topics that ecoteens deals with is like dreaming, becoming bigger, dreaming about my profession, my talents. How can I develop? What can I do? How can I get to know other people who can give me insights and inspire me to become what I want to be? Definitely, in English language teaching, there are many things we can do besides teaching the vocabulary. All these strategies that you've been sharing with us have been very, very enriching. We go on the last section of our masterclass, that is questions and answers. I have a question for you, and there are a couple of questions here on the chat box that I know you have the answer to. So, questions and answers.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Hey everybody! Our guest teachers, James. This masterclass wouldn't be the same without them. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I have a question. My question, I don't know, and I was thinking about the challenges. You've been doing this yourself as a teacher and as a mentor and as a project leader in schools. Uh, James, what are the challenges that you have seen that the teachers deal with when working with this type of strategies? You can give me one or two challenges that you can see teachers face, for example.
Sure. Absolutely. I'll tell you one, time. We teachers always complain about time. Like there's
Yes.
not enough time. I don't have enough time to plan. All right. But I'll give you the challenge and the solution right away. Very concrete. Scaffold the process, scaffold the project. You don't want, this is not something you want to do in 1 week. You don't want to burn all the material in a week. So do it little by little in a scaffolded process. And then I promise that with the help of the takeaway material and enough time distancing between one or the other activity, you will manage to solve the time issue.
Amazing. Amazing. I have a question from Jason Giamaria or Giamaria. I don't know how to pronounce. Can you tell us some strategies to encourage students in rural areas who have no internet access to learn English, for example?
Okay.
Jason, thank you
Is,
for the question.
thank you, Jason. Any of the guest teachers or me or I don't know
I'm
if any
I'm
of the
I'm
guest
I'm open to whoever would like to answer this question. It's
thanks,
about
Karen
internet
has an answer
access
for it.
and rural areas to develop this
It is not
ability.
easy, but we can do it.
Okay, go ahead.
If you want, I can do it. In fact, I want to talk about my ikigai because my vocation, profession, mission, and passion is the same. I want to educate every day is my mission, and my students and new teachers. My students are going to be the new teachers in Colombia, in Manizales. Some of them are going to be teachers in the rural area. And we are developing new strategies. We are thinking, we are drawing, we are designing picture dictionaries. We are taking different strategies through videos. We have to. It's time to do it. I think the rural area in this moment is demanding new teachers, the best teachers, the more enthusiastic, the teachers that love not only English, education. I think so.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know
I
if
would,
anybody
I would
else
like
can
to add,
add. Okay, go.
yeah, I would like to add that the biggest resource that we have is us. It's our experience. It's our passion, our motivation. Okay, we can do a lot of things in the classroom. Of course, if we get this technology, it's gonna be like better. But if we don't, we can use papers. We can use the books. We can print the material, or just make groups in the classroom and put students to bring up those ideas, and they will do it. And language is about creating, communicating, and building knowledge.
Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you very
Yes.
much. Okay, Karen, go.
Okay, I think that one of the most important things that we can do if we are in a rural area is to work throughout cross-curricular activities. Also, it's important to take into account that Colombia it's a paradise. We are in a paradise, and we can teach since our context and since your own context.
Okay.
In fact, one thing that we do at my school, I said at the beginning that we don't have like many resources from our students, but something that we have been doing for the last 2 years is that we are working in drama, plays. So we
Fantastic.
put
Amazing.
students into creating the
Nice.
the characters, into adapting the. Sometimes when we had the scripts, they are too big, so we put them into creating their own scripts or adapting ones, and they start like like we do the rehearsal stage just as if we were in a theater group, in a professional theater group, and everything is in English. So
Right.
we go like that, and they start feeling comfortable with it. And right now, it's really, really nice to see students that they love and they want. Everybody now wants to be part of the theater group at school, but of course, we don't have like enough time to get all the students involved. But in the classes, we do some English activities that connect with this idea of becoming one day an actor in a play for the school. But
I love that strategy because I've used that myself. I love theater. I mean, the resources that we have is our body, okay,
Yeah.
is our imagination, our creativity, and when we put humans together to cooperate, amazing things happen. Okay,
That's
and
it.
I know that we've been surprised and amazed at what students come up with. All right. So you don't need a cam recorder, you don't need a cell phone, you don't need a computer or Wi-Fi. You have humans cooperating and humans creating. So that's a powerful tool. I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I don't know. We have we have comments here. Everybody's saying thank you, James, on the chat box. They are expecting to get the material. Teachers, remember, you got to register your information. You'll get your certificate, and along with the certificate, you get the takeaway material that James has been referring to throughout the whole master class. We have 1 minute, and I don't know if any of the guest teachers has any question to James, or James, you would like to wrap up just this masterclass in this minute that we have left.
I just have a commentary.
Yes, please.
Can I? Okay.
Of course.
Dear James, thank you very much for this amazing afternoon. It was a great activity. I really love it. And this topic was amazing. I love it. And also, I'm sure that I will use all the different activities and all these strategies that you gave us in my classes and with all my peers and at school, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I want to tell you that we have to continue being dreamers. It's one
Yeah,
of the most important ideas we have to share. We are
definitely.
dreamers.
And never forget that language or learning a language is not only for the language itself, but for building and creating a better life for everybody. So this strategy is amazing. I was taking notes and I know I will use it. And I know that all the teachers that connected today are going to be very, very motivated to go to their schools and implement these strategies. So
It's
thank
it's
you.
it's been a very inspiring afternoon. I mean, knowing in fact that through English language learning, we can help our students, those humans in our classrooms, to become better people, to open new windows and new doors to dream and dream bigger, is priceless. Definitely is priceless. I want to thank all the teachers on the YouTube channel through Colombia Aprende. Thank you, Ministry of Education and the British Council. Our guest teachers this afternoon, thank you very much. Thank you. I want to say hi to Barranquilla, to Manizales, and to Zipaquirá for sending these wonderful teachers here to this conversation. James, thank you very much. It's been a great afternoon, and please don't forget, next week we're gonna have the masterclass number 11. It's gonna be in Spanish. Cómo usar EcoWeb 2.0 para generar experiencias de aprendizaje significativas en mis estudiantes de inglés para primaria. Masterclass focused on elementary school. But if you want to join us, welcome.
Nice.
If you know any teacher,
Nice.
any elementary school teacher, please invite him, invite her. Tell him or her to come here, and we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks to you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.